everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood as we continue to break down the individual workouts for the 2016 regionals. We had 2 on Friday. We get 3 more on Saturday with 7 movements that we're going to throw at the athletes.
And I'm only sticking more to my guns of what I said on the show when we discussed day 1 workouts, which I said, this could be the games. If you told me this was the games this year, I'd be like, this is robust. And now what we're seeing on day 2, man, I just can't wait for day 3.
And typically we call day 2 moving day because there's more points at stake. And I think this fits again. This year on day 2, there's more points at stake. More athletes are going to be able to separate themselves from some of the pretenders.
Here's a look at what is on tap for day 2. We start with event 3, wall balls and pull-ups, a 6-minute time cap on that event. Then we go right into the next event, event number 4. That starts at the 7-minute mark, 4 rounds of pistols and power cleans. And then we close out the day with a 3-round event in event 5. We're breaking out the true form runner, 400 meters on that, 40 GHDs, and then 7 pretty heavy deads for both the men and the women. There's 3 rounds of that event, 16-minute time cap on that. When you look at these 3 events as a whole, what jumps out the most to you?
There's so many elements, right, that I'm supposed to say something nice about all of them, but I'm incredibly just laser vision focused on that deadlift on event number 5. It boggles my mind of how it would be heavy again at the games. We're at regionals, we're just on the road to the games, and men have to deal with 405 pounds for reps and 275 pounds for the women. I just want to watch that event.
I agree with you. I love that event too. But before we even get there, talk about event 3 and 4. 2 workouts where you really get to test your throttle, then your recovery, and your throttle again. It's all about energy management here because they're really going to push the pace in both of these workouts. And then obviously have to go to the heavy dead.
Yeah, here's what events 3 and events 4 specifically are. We start with event 3. It's 104 wall balls. That's followed by 52 pull-ups. There's a 6-minute time cap on that. Then at the 7-minute mark, we go into event 4. That's 4 rounds of 28 pistols and 15 power cleans at 115 pounds for the men and 80 pounds for the women. There's a 10-minute time cap on that. And Pat, I look at event 3 specifically, and I know that you love this event.
I do, because it's so beautiful. There's nothing crazy about it, but it's going to be so devastating in its actual execution. And I like the rep scheme on this. It seems a little maybe oddball at first. The numbers aren't super clean. But what I like that Dave did is I think he made some good decisions where these athletes are going to do the 104 wall balls unbroken, certainly the best in the business. And then a decision has to be made, depending upon maybe where you are in the standings. Do you hold on and try to go for 52 or come off the bar? I think a lot of even the best athletes will take 1 break. We'll see some that don't. That's my call. And then I think event 4 is just right on the heels of event 3, and I love testing that recovery.
I absolutely love how every year there's a couple of workouts, maybe even one in particular, where it feels like Dave Castro is just kind of dangling that carrot out in front of the athletes to see, hey, do you have what it takes to kind of really light the fuse on these ones? And especially in that first one, you know, maybe you hit the 104 unbroken, maybe you hit the 52 unbroken, and you know, all smiles and everything, but you know what? Hey, you got to back it up again now with another workout where you have no choice but to go as fast as you can, because if you blink, you're going to be in last.
So let's just look at event 3 here, but where do the top times come in for this?
I think for event 3, I look at some of the best athletes in the world in those particular movements. Sam Briggs, I've seen her do 100 wall balls in just a little bit under 3 minutes. Chris Spieler, I've seen him do 52 pull-ups unbroken in 46 seconds. You combine the two, because some athlete will be able to do both. You add a transition in there, maybe a little bit of competition adrenaline. I think we're going to see someone go sub 4, and I think that'll be the best time.
We're going to go a little good cop, bad cop, okay? I hope that you're right, because that highlight material will be insane. I think most of the really good athletes are going to be, or the great athletes, I should say, not just below 4 minutes, I think just above 4 minutes, and then a whole bunch will be in that 4 to 5 minute window. But I think low 4s will be one of the times that we're talking about.
Let's move to event 4 now. 4 rounds of 28 pistols and then 15 power cleans at a relatively easy weight for these athletes. What are the top times here?
You know, I was trying to crunch the old Pistola numbers and how much you can cycle the cleans, but it's tough to take into account how much the event that you just did 1 minute before affects your legs are smoked, your lats are blown up. But I'm going to say sub 5 will be the best in the business there for event number 4.
Call me crazy, Pat. I'm going to stick with the sub-4 mantra here.
Wow.
on
Love
both
it. I
workouts.
love it, man.
Wow.
I think we might find someone, you never know, someone might game the first one and then try to win the second. You never know. But I
That's
think
possible.
sub-4 is possible.
When you think about names who are going to do well on event 3, who comes to mind?
For me, it's the Briggs and Bridges show here.
Yeah.
I think Sam Briggs, this workout should be named after. We should call it Sam. And she's going to do the 100 wall balls unbroken. I don't think she'll have a problem with the pull-ups. She might even come down if she's gauging her competition around her just to make sure she wins. I think Josh Bridges shouldn't have a problem with the wall ball, and he's one of the best in the world in pull-ups.
I cannot argue with your picks at all, but I'll throw some other names out there for your consideration. Let's go with, for the women, Cara Webb and Camila Blanc-Bazinet, both on the shorter side, but their fitness isn't going to have a problem with the wall balls, and once they get on the pull-up bar, watch out. And then for the men, Matt Fraser, I think, is going to do fantastic on event number 3. And then my kind of sleeper pick, Graham Holmberg.
Oh.
I think he's going to really excel on this one, and we'll be talking about him.
And then finally, the second part of this, who does well on that? Are they the same names or not?
They're very, very close. So for the men, I'm going to say it's just a California combo. That's Bridges and Bailey. I think they'll decimate this thing, event number 4. And then for women, it's the same ones again. I'm sorry I couldn't be more creative, but I really think Cara Webb and Camila Blanc-Bazinet will put up some of the top times.
For me, 2 people come to mind, and it all comes down to pistol cycling, Matt Fraser and Sheila Barden. Matt Fraser is probably the best person I've ever seen at cycling pistols.
Yeah, agreed.
I've seen him hold a pistol a second for considerable sets. Sheila Barden had the best time in the world for the women in Nasty Girls version 2.0 a few years back at regionals, and I think this workout is something where they can really shine.
We move on to event 5 to close out the day, and that's when we are breaking out the True Form Runner. It's going to be 3 rounds of a 400-meter run, 40 GHDs, and then you heard Pat refer to this earlier, 7 deadlifts at 405 for the men and 275 pounds for the women. It's all tough, but I mean, that barbell there is pretty daunting.
Yes, because you'll have 3 pieces of gear out there, but all you're going to be looking at is that deadlift. And if you just had to do 21 for time, it would be a miserable event, let alone you're going to throw in 2 other elements that, to say affect the deadlift, would be an understatement. So I just can't wait to see how much these athletes have progressed and how they can cycle such a heavy barbell.
Yesterday we talked event 2 had so much interference from the upper body, the shoulders, the pressing, the triceps, everything like that. I think this workout has a ton of interference for the posterior chain, for the midline and the lower body. I mean, like you said, the deadlift is going to be tough, but the True Form Runner really hammers your hamstrings, and then you're going to take away your midline from the GHDs.
Thanks for nothing.
Brutal.
The time cap on this one is 16 minutes. As far as the top times are concerned, how close or how far away are they from that time cap?
I think that's a good time cap. I mean, the best athletes will get it done, but it's not liberal for a lot of people out there. I think if you are below 13 minutes on this workout, you put up a very solid time.
I agree with you, Pat. I think you hit that one on the head. 12:45 is the number I had circled in my head. I think athletes are going to be about 2 minutes, 2:15 on the True Form, and that's cooking. And then, there'll be a handful of athletes that won't have a problem with the dead, but it's going to be a rarity to see sub 13.
Let's talk names who are going to do well. We've heard a lot of the same names now over these past couple of events. Anybody different coming to mind now with this one?
I've got a couple different ones, and I think being a student of the game, you're going to like these. So for the men, I'm going to go Garrett Fisher, making an appearance, trying to get to the games again. I think this event particularly lines up really well for him. But then also Travis Williams.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be rugged grunt work out there, but I think he'll get it done. And for the women, Brooke Wells. I mean, she put up a monster deadlift on social media that she said, hey, Greg Glassman said I should work on my deadlift. How's this? She's going to be good. And then Molly Vollmer out of California. I think it lines up real well for her.
I had 2 athletes in mind, one in particular, Austin Maliolo. I think he's outside of the True Form Runner. The back half of that isn't going to be a problem. Last time we saw GHDs and deadlifts combined at the games, he absolutely smashed that workout in 2011. And then Margot Alvarez, I think she's very balanced, and I think this is a workout that suits her. She's a good runner. She practices her midline stuff all the time. And she's a longer athlete. I think she's going to handle this deadlift, and I think this workout suits her very well. 5
events so far over 2 days. Now, Dave Castro did drop a hint as far as what might be in store on Sunday. He put this on Instagram. It was a picture of what I can only assume is his terrible handwriting on a whiteboard. That word on the right reads chipper, and then there's some numbers, 1,110 and then 555, and then event 7, all that reads is Invitational. So who knows? If you guys have any guesses, put them in the comments. See if you get close.
TBD.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow to close things out and announce the rest of the events for the 2016 regionals. For Pat Sherwood and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. We'll see you then.